Today's talk is interesting in the sense that not often the title is a Pali compound word, Anupubbasikkha. Kata, this Pali Romanized spelling just means talk, conversation. Anupa is to be step by step or gradual. And this topic is important because many Buddhist societies, when they want to have introduction to Buddhism, they start off some of the first lecture, maybe Life of the Buddha, so you know who's the Buddha. The second lecture is often the Four Noble Truths, go straight into the essence. But the Buddha didn't use this technique, interestingly. Why? Because this aspect of step-by-step talk, Anupubbasikkha, is used by the Buddha with respect to lay people. The Buddha's way of teaching lay people who he come across for the first time and so on, or with monastics, he used a different approach because the monastics got a certain attitude, they have renounced the world, and the Buddha doesn't need to go through a lot of the preliminaries. So he goes straight into the essence of their question or their inquiry or something he wanted to share, something a bit deeper. But for lay people like us, most of us, we call ourselves Buddhists. Of course, in India in those days, they call themselves Brahmanis. They were not Hindus. There was no Hinduism during the Buddha's time. There was only Brahmanism and other assorted, religions. So the Buddha had to use a different approach. And this is the step-by-step talk which the Buddha used. And from the dictionary, the Pali Text Society's Pali English Dictionary, Anupubbasikkha comprises, basically just means gradual instruction, gradual sermon, regulated exposition, and so on. What are the four main topics it touches on? Dana kata. Kata, as I mentioned, is talking about conversational, talking about dana. Okay, what is dana? Giving. Okay, talk about giving. The second one is sila kata, talk about morality or ethical conduct. And saga kata, talk about heavens. Obviously, for lay people, heaven is very important to us. We want, on passing away, we want to go to heaven, have a nice time. And of course, magga kata, okay, talk about the path, the Buddha's path discovered. Of course, magga kata in other suttas, which elaborated, can be broken down into other sections. But you will notice that out of the four things here, the first three are what they call literally step by step, kindergarten. Start with dana. And elsewhere in Dhamma talks, you have heard of speakers or monastics advising us to practice dana, sila, bhavana. Okay, the first step is to practice dana. And of course, it's simplistic. For monastics, the Buddha wouldn't touch on this. Okay, dana kata, talk about giving, then move on to sila, a little bit more in terms of practice. Saga is to reflect on how do people get born in the heavens. That is very important. We want to go to heaven, but we want to know how. So talk about heaven is important. It's not talking about how beautiful heaven is. From other religions, they say they all wear one kind of clothes. When they open the closet, there's only one fashion. There's no multiple color. It's all white in certain way of cut. And what food they eat, or breakfast, lunch, and dinner is same thing. Okay, ours, of course, as humans, we have variety. We can visit many kinds of shops. But that is for certain kinds of religion. But here, we are talking about heavens. What kind of heavens are there? How do we get there? And maybe we can emulate those people who had done something when they were humans and they got themselves there. So we can use that as inspiration or guidance. This is the essential, the summary of that portion. Magga kata is more involved. That's going straight to the teachings already, which is broken down. Now, let's start with the first, one of the lay people, the Buddha, use this Anupubbasikkha approach. Those who are regular here, you may have heard of a person called Anapubbasikkha. Those who have gone for pilgrimage to India, you would know about the Jetavana monastery. Okay, the Buddha spent 19 Vasas or 19 years staying around that area. Anapubbasikkha is not a name, it's actually a title. The title of the word Anapubbasikkha means giver, the feeder of the poor. Feeder of the poor is a title. When he was born, his given name, the parents gave him the name Sudatta. Okay? Most do not know. If the suttas frequently use the word Anapubbasikkha. So I fast forward. What happened was, one day, Sudatta, who was a millionaire in the town called Savatthi in the kingdom of Kosala, decided to journey southeast of his town to another capital area called Rajagaha, capital of the Magadha kingdom, where his brother-in-law was staying. He went there and then he wondering, normally his brother-in-law will welcome him, oh, see, a long time don't see and everything, let's go for makan or all this kind of thing. Typical like what we do also. But suddenly the brother-in-law and the family there didn't pay attention to him, you know. They were busy doing this and doing this. They're wondering what happened. So then he asked the brother-in-law, why are you so busy? He said, oh, we are preparing for tomorrow's dana to the Buddha and the Sangha. And as far as Sudatta is concerned, he had never heard of the use of the term Buddha before. And he knows the meaning. Buddha means awaken or enlighten. So I said, are you sure? Awaken? Such a person? So they said, oh, he was very inspired by this aspect. He had never heard any teacher declaring himself as a Buddha. So he had a very, what they call, sleepless night waiting for the next day. And the next day, before the dana, he woke up even before the sun, before dawn. He walked towards where the Buddha was staying. The Buddha normally doesn't stay in rooms or buildings, normally stay under the tree or somewhere like that. So he went to a grove. On the way, he passed through a cemetery. And of course, anybody passing through a cemetery before the sunrise, people also very kia. Okay? He also knows no different. 2,600 people still got the same idea. So actually, it's not a cemetery. Indians do not bury their dead, not normally. They normally cremate. So the text use the word charnel grounds. Charnel grounds are places where they cremate their beloved ones. Of course, those who can afford to buy wood, those who cannot afford to buy wood, send their passed away, their beloved ones, left it there. Today we call it cemetery. And the current practice is called to bury there. There, they leave it there, either to burn or leave it there for the animals to makan. So, not so nice a place. Okay. So today, if you're afraid of going to the cemetery, actually today's cemetery is very nice compared to charnel grounds those days. So anyway, some spirits tried to encourage him, not frighten him, encourage him to walk on to meet the Buddha. They knew his intention. Finally, he came to the Buddha. The Buddha was expecting him. And straight away, the Buddha haven't met him before. Come, Sudatta. He said, then this Sudatta wondering, how he know my name? I never met him before. I never introduced myself. I haven't got a chance to say hello. And he said, come, Sudatta, come, sit down. Have a chit-chat. And we fast forward to this. Then the Buddha, leading Sudatta step by step, spoke to him about giving, dana kata, spoke to him about virtue, sila kata, saga kata, and then the magga kata elaborated here, of the perils, vanity, and defiling nature of sensual pleasures. And finally, on the benefits of renunciation. So these are the preliminary step by step to bring him, to realize within himself all these aspects. And the result of that is, when the Blessed One, the Buddha was able to read people's minds, when the Buddha saw that Anapubbasikkha, the householder, was ready in heart and mind, his mind was pliable, unobstructed, uplifted, serene. Then only the Buddha gave him the explanation of the teaching, which is unique to the enlightened ones. Means what the Buddha discovered underneath the Bodhi tree, which is the noble truth of suffering, of dukkha, of samudaya, its cause, its cessation, and the path to enlightenment. So the Buddha didn't go straight and talk about Four Noble Truths. He went step by step to talk simple. So what is this dana kata, sila kata, and all that? Now, in the Tipitaka, the scriptures of the Buddhists, which is encyclopedia-wise, 40 volumes, very, very thick. You cannot summarize into one. Of course, you can put into a CD-ROM, like put in your pocket. Of course, CD-ROMs are obsolete, so you can put in the thumb drive. Okay. So, there's a lot of talk from this angle, that angle, that angle. But due to the time limitation of this morning's sharing, I cannot touch on everything, okay, to do with all this. So I had to pick and choose. So when he taught the Sudatta the Four Noble Truths, with that, the pure eye of truth, Dhamma-cakku, in modern terms, I call it, when we listen to Dhamma talk, we come across a moment where we have a aha, or in terms of the person who discovered buoyancy, eureka, that's the different language. So Dhamma-cakku opened for Anupubbasikkha. And he realized, whatever has arisen must also cease. For many of us, hey, of course, this is normal, whatever arises must cease. But the deep realization is different. So Anupubbasikkha, who had understood the truth of the teaching, had overcome all doubts, and was without any wavering, certain in mind, and relying on no one else in the master dispensation. He achieved the attainment of stream entry, Sotapaddi. Now, the last portion in yellow and underlined is very important. Stream entry is descriptive of the first step of enlightenment. He has changed himself, transformed himself from an ordinary putujana, a layperson like us, unenlightened, regardless of your EQ and your IQ and whatever. Now the Buddha checking on whether you are an Arya, a noble person, you transform yourself to that status or not. Okay, so there are 4 stages. You have Sotapaddi, Sakadagami, Anagami, and Arahat. Arahat is a fully enlightened disciple of the Buddha. So because he had this aha moment, he attained the lowest level, Sotapaddi. And certain qualities of Sotapaddi, overcome all doubts. When we study Buddhism, sometimes we have lingering questions. Hey, are you sure the Buddha enlightenment or not? What is this? What's the meaning of this? We have doubts. When you attain Sotapaddi, you have removed that lingering doubt. You have you will not go to any other teacher, any other philosophical or religious teacher. Here, the statements just before the underlying things, no one else in the master dispensation, which means he will not go to any other teacher. He has 100% confidence in the Buddha as a teacher and his teaching, because there's no more belief. Now, most of us, we come to religion, we believe. The word belief is because you trust somebody, but all these are rooted in what? You do not know. You hope that you will know one day. This case, this person has known. So the word belief doesn't apply to him anymore. He knows. To that limited extent, he's not fully enlightened yet, only the first stage. To that extent, he knows. So for this kind of people, the word belief is not applicable. So in Buddhism, one of the whole purposes of the Buddha's teaching is to transform all Buddhists who are believers into people who know. When you know, you don't need to believe. Okay? So what is Sotapaddi? Since that is a technical term, so I have no choice but to show you an idea of this. Well, the whole world, all beings are made, not just humans, all other seen or unseen beings, are made up of worldlings, putujana, and Aryas, noble ones. And this list is a list of 10, Sangyojana. Things, fetters, some chains that tie us to the continued cycle of birth and death called samsara. Now, Sudatta attained stream winner, or Sotapaddi, or Sotapanna. And he is uprooted. Out of the 10, he's uprooted. That means that the place cannot grow grass, or the fetters cannot come back and disturb him anymore. He is uprooted, personality belief, skeptical doubt, that's why he has no more doubt as far as in the Buddha is concerned, and no more clinging to mere rites and rituals. That's in many religions, you must do it this way, you must hold incense, you cannot hold it at the bottom, the thing coming up. You must hold it sideways. You must do this. You cannot have one. You must have three, or maybe the whole bundle. As you bought it from the shop, the more the better. Some temples you go, you can get scolded, because you hold it wrongly, you offer wrongly, and these kind of things, rites and rituals. So he's uprooted all this. He doesn't bother about all this anymore, and because of that, he has attained Sotapanna. And then the second stage of Srimina, Sakadagami, is a person who has toned down, weakened the strength of sensuous craving and ill will. So even a Sotapanna, the first stage of sainthood, can still get angry, He's not fully enlightened yet. Why? He has not got rid of ill will. So even the second stage of enlightenment, he has weakened ill will. Ill will is the root of your anger management issues. Weakened, he hasn't eliminated. So anger is quite difficult to eliminate. So sensuous craving and ill will. And then those who attain the third stage of enlightenment, third Srimina or Anagami, he has uprooted sensuous craving, ill will. So only those who have attained up to Anagami, you try to chuchok them, they cannot get angry. They don't know how to get angry. The rest below, they still got the defilement inside them, the fetter inside them, they can get angry. And finally, to become fully enlightened disciple of the Buddha and Arahat, you have to uproot craving for fine material existence, craving for immaterial existence, conceit. Conceit means, I know, you don't know. I'm great, this kind of thing. The I is still very strong. Conceit is very, very fine-tuned. Restlessness. Now you know, when you sit down and meditate, sometimes you cannot sit still. So only at the Arhat level, you get rid of restlessness. So before that, even the other enlightened stages, you still have restlessness. And the most important is avijja, ignorance. Without ignorance, or rather, with ignorance, you get reborn. You have no more ignorance, rebirth is not possible. It's not karma, no. Karma is like the fuel, the fertilizer, the watering. But even you have karma and the fuel and all that, but no ignorance, you cannot be reborn. So ignorance is the key to future rebirth. No more ignorance, no more rebirth. In the case of the Buddha himself is an Arahat. He's uprooted all these 10. Therefore, if the question of where is the Buddha now? That is the non-applicable question. Why? He cannot be reborn. He has no more ignorance. Okay? So, moving quickly to Dana Kata, talk about giving. Here are some of the pictures. The bottom left indicates donation of blood. Okay, giving in this case, or not just giving anything, not just material, but also saving lives, fearlessness. And the top picture, you have Pintacara, that means offering of alms, material offerings. And the center picture, the Dhamma sharing by Bante G, Bante Gunaratana, now staying in the US. There is Dhamma sharing, Dhamma Dana. And the bottom right, of course, Achan Amaro, those who are familiar. So cultivation of giving. And elsewhere, in other lectures given by the Buddha keeps talking about Dana, Sila, Bhavana. So what is Dana? Here in this particular sutta from the Iti Vuttaka, one of the books in the Khuddaka Nikaya, in the Tipitaka, the Buddha says, if beings knew, as I know, the result of giving and sharing, they would not eat without having given, nor would they allow the stain of meanness to obsess them and take root in their minds. So here the Buddha clearly says the power of giving. Just because you give, it does not mean that you go to what they call enlightenment. But it is the one they call the building blocks that allow you to. And why do you give? You want to get rid of your stain of meanness. Most of us got some degree of stinginess, meanness in our minds. Okay, although outwardly we are generally quite generous, but sometimes we got that little bit. We want to make it smaller and smaller and uproot this aspect. So we are freely generous. Now, in many Dhamma sharings by various people, you will come across this, Amisa Dana, the giving of requisites, giving of lodging, a place to stay for the monastics, giving of food, and so on. That means material giving. Abaya. Now, the word abaya is made up of, actually, in a way, you can say 3 words. Dana is giving. Baya, B-H-A-Y-A. This is Indian language. When he came to Malaysia, he became Bahaya. Bhaya, B-H-A-Y-A means fear. You put an A in front means no fear. Okay, Abhaya itself means no fear. So the giving of fearlessness, of safety, of protection from danger. And of course, Dhamma-dana, the giving of the knowledge of Dhamma. Okay. And this Dhammapada verse 354, the gift of Dhamma excels all gifts. The taste of Dhamma excels all tastes. The delight in Dhamma excels all delights. The craving free vanquishes all suffering. Okay. Now, there are many suttas, but this one is probably more relevant at our stage. This is a sutta, a conversation between a general, okay, General Siha. So the sutta is called Siha Senapati Sutta from the Anguttara Nikaya book of 5. So General Siha was asking the Buddha, is it possible, Lord, he's talking to the Buddha, to point out the fruit of giving visible in the here and now? Just now when we went to the puja, just now we recited all those, some people call it prayers, but let me tell you, Buddhists do not pray. What you went through just now were not prayers. Because the word prayer, general speaking, we talk to people in the street, prayer means to ask for something. You ask some higher being, more powerful being, you think it's a higher being, or for something. In the recital, you check the English translation because you recited in Pali, you don't know what it's talking about. You read the English, there was no asking for anything. There was a recollection, reflection on the qualities of the Buddha, Dhamma, and Sangha, expression of gratitude, saying that we will treat the Buddha, Dhamma, and Sangha as our refuge, as our teacher, as our guide, all those things, all reflections. There were no prayers. So we didn't pray the sound. We offer flowers, everything is to physical expression of gratitude, and even the flowers themselves, one day the petals will drop or rot, is for meditative reflection. Okay? So Buddhists do not pray. So in the reflection on the qualities of the Dhamma, there's one quality called Sandittika, here and now. The Dhamma is effective here and now, which means in some religions or philosophies, if you practice my religion, they'll say, oh, you will get benefit. The only trouble in some of the other religions is called, you must die first. Why? Then only can go to heaven. The benefit is to go to heaven, ma. You want to go to heaven, ma. But you must die first. But if I die, if I practice wrongly, or your religion talk nonsense, to put the better, say for all. Literally say your ma. So something cannot be. So the Dhamma is visible here now. So whatever you practice, you can start to see results when you are alive. From the moment you start practicing. The more you practice, the more obvious the results are, the stronger the results are in the here and now. Of course, it will carry forward into the next life after you pass away. But nobody bothers about the next life. That one is later. I want to see now. Not like fast food. You want now. So, General Siya asked the Buddha, is it possible, Lord, to point out the fruit of giving, the results of giving, visible in the here and now? And the Buddha said, it is possible, Siya. One who gives, one who is a master of giving, is dear and charming to people at large. And the fact that who gives, who is a master of giving, is dear and charming to people at large, this is the fruit of giving, visible in the here and now. Furthermore, good people, people of integrity, admire one who gives, who is a master of giving. And the fact that good people, people of integrity, admire one who gives, who is a master of giving, this too is the fruit of giving, visible in the here and now. So two aspects, when you give often, okay, it changes you. And the second one, which is the bottom portion, people see that you give. Not satu kali and once in the blue moon, but frequently. People habitually see, oh, you're always very generous. They also admire you. So you change yourself and other people also have respect for you. Okay? Furthermore, the fine reputation of one who gives, who is a master of giving, is spread far and wide. And the fact that the fine reputation of one who gives, who is a master of giving, is spread far and wide, this too is a fruit of giving visible in the here and now. So not just those immediately around you, people know you. People come forward and suggest opportunities for you to donate to other projects further away. Maybe donate to other countries or other parts of Malaysia, building of monasteries and something like that. Okay? Furthermore, when one who gives, who is a master of giving, approaches any assembly of people, noble warriors, Brahmans, householders, or contemplatives, could mean monastics, he or she does so confidently and without embarrassment. And the fact that when one who gives, who is a master of giving, approaches any assembly of people, noble warriors, Brahmans, householders, or contemplatives, he or she does so confidently and without embarrassment. This too is a fruit of giving, visible in the here and now. So very confident in large assemblies also. Furthermore, at the breakup of the body after death, one who gives, who is a master of giving, reappears in a good destination, the heavenly world. And the fact that at the breakup of the body after death, one who gives, who is a master of giving, reappears in a good destination, the heavenly world, this is a fruit of giving in the next life. Now remember, General Siha asked about fruit of giving here and now, but the Buddha here, towards the end, talk about the next life. Now, when this was said, General Siha said to the Blessed One, as for the 4 fruits of giving visible in the here and now, that have been pointed out by the Blessed One, it is not the case that I go by conviction. In other words, go by faith or go by belief in the Blessed One with regard to them. I know them too. So he has transformed himself. He has done it. He has practiced the Buddha teaching. He threw away the idea of belief. I know because I see the results. So I am one who gives, a master of giving, dear and charming to people at large. Good people, people of integrity, admire me. My fine reputation is spread far and wide. See her as generous, a doer, a supporter of the Sangha. When I approach any assembly of people, noble warriors, Brahmans, householders, and contemplatives, I do so confidently and without embarrassment. So General Siha, what they call, confirms what the Buddha has mentioned in the results of the here and now. But, he says, when the Blessed One says to me, at the breakup of the body, after death, one who gives, who is a master of giving, reappears in a good destination, the heavenly world, that I do not know. That is where I go by conviction or confidence or trust in the Blessed One. And the Buddha said, so it is, see her. So it is. At the breakup of the body after death, one who gives, master of giving, reappears in a good destination, the heavenly world. So clearly, you can know the benefits of being generous. This is only one aspect. There are many lectures given by Buddha from different angles with respect to the practice of giving. Now, quickly moving on, Sila Kata, talk about ethical conduct. And just now we recited the 5 precepts, largely represented by those pictures here with the X, red color X, which are things we should avoid. And of course, one with the green tick is called loving kindness. Now, ethical training, virtue training, or moral training in Buddhism is about refraining and cultivation. Refraining means please don't do. Cultivation is please do. So these are these 2 aspects. And refrain from what is unwholesome, unskillful. Be steadfast in good qualities. And this advice is given in the Mangala Sutta, the Sutta on blessing. Those who like to have good luck and ong and also read Mangala Sutta. Long list of that, 38. Now, cultivation of morality or sila. Just now in the puja, we went through the, what they call, affirmation that we will practice the 5 precepts. What are the 5 precepts about? It's about abstention. Don't do this, don't do that. So, abstention from killing, abstention from taking what is not given. Frequently we call that stealing, but there's a subtle difference between stealing and this. Abstention from sexual misconduct, abstention from false speech, abstention from taking intoxicants. Okay, these are 5 precepts, all abstention. But just because you practice the 5 precepts, the 5 precepts itself protects you from making what I call unwholesome energies which cause you trouble later in life, this life or next life. So it's a prevention, it's a safeguard. But you need to do something concrete. Remember the previous slide, we talked about refraining and cultivation. This one is 5 precepts is about refraining, don't do. But we also need to talk about doing something, which is the 5 ennoblers. The 5 ennoblers are the direct opposite of the 5 precepts. So abstention from killing, you don't kill, you want to save lives. Not just human lives, but maybe other animal lives. How do we do that? Of course, some of you are in the medical profession, maybe doctors. You say, oh, you are trained to do that, at least you can exercise what you know. But for the rest of us, we are not so fortunate to become doctors. So how do we do? How do we save lives? So how many here are blood donors? Nobody hands up. Oh, Uttama. Oh, 1, 2. Okay. This is the first question. How many are blood donors? The second question is, how many are you regular blood donors? I'm talking about those who at least donate once a year. There are those who donate 3 times a year. That blood bank only accepts maximum of 4 blood donations a year, because in between 3 months they must allow your body to recover and get strong again. So you can only donate maximum of 4 times a year. So you want to cut it down a little bit, okay, 3 times a year, I try to do my best. And so on. So you must do something positive to cultivate. 5 ennoblers. Okay. This particular sutta is quite interesting. This is given in a bamboo grove. Velu means bamboo. And the Buddha was talking about how we should practice the 5 precepts. Now, a noble disciple reflects, I want to live and don't want to die. Which is standard. All living beings want to live, don't want to die. I want to be happy and recoil from pain. Since this is so, if someone were to take my life, I wouldn't like that. Up to here is very commonsensical, isn't it? But others also want to live and don't want to die. They want to be happy and recoil from pain. So if I were to take the life of someone else, they wouldn't like that either. The thing that is disliked by me is also disliked by others. Since I dislike this thing, how can I inflict it on someone else? So this is one reason why you don't want to kill living beings. You want to practice abstention. So reflecting in this way, they themselves give up killing, which is the first precept which we committed to observing. But there is another one. They encourage others to give up killing living creatures. So not only you practice, but you also spread the word. Encourage people to practice the abstention from killing. And third, praising the giving up of killing living creatures. Now, so when other people, you try to persuade them, and they also practice like you also praise them. So 3 things. So their bodily behavior is purified in 3 points. So this is the way to practice the 5 precepts in total. And then the next one, notice at the bottom of the page, that's now the previous page, I showed what I call the Pali word on the bottom right, panatipata, destruction of life. This is the Pali as we recited just now. And here we have adinadana, taking what is not given. So a noble disciple reflects, if someone were to steal from me, I wouldn't like that. If I were to steal from someone else, they wouldn't like that either. So we quickly move forward. The thing that is disliked by me is also disliked by others. Since I dislike this thing, how can I inflict it on others? Reflecting in this way, they themselves give up stealing themselves. They encourage others to give up stealing, and they praise the giving up of stealing. Very simple, isn't it? And this goes on actually for what they call the other aspect of the precepts. They're talking about if someone to have sexual relationships with my wife. In those days, they have polygamy, so they have wives, and so on. And reflecting in this way, they give up sexual misconduct. They encourage others to give up sexual misconduct, praising the giving up of sexual misconduct, so their bodily behavior is purified in 3 points. And then moving on, they talk about musavada. Musavada is speaking falsehood or lying. If someone were to distort my meaning by lying, I wouldn't like that. But if I were to distort someone else's meaning by lying, they wouldn't like it either. So the same logic goes through. They themselves give up lying themselves. They encourage others to give up lying, and they praise the giving up of lying. So their verbal behavior is purified in 3 points. This musavada is very, very common all over the world, and especially in the political arena, and so on. And so on, okay? Now, the practice of the ethical conduct goes down to your business pursuit, what kind of jobs you are or business you're doing. So the important thing is you need to have peaceful business pursuits. And this is mentioned in the Mangala Sutta, okay, so that you have blessing in your life. In the Vanija Buddha Sutta, the Buddha talks about not getting involved in certain kinds of occupations. So monks, a lay follower should not engage in these 5 trades. What 5? Trade in weapons, in living creatures, in meat, intoxicants, and poisons. So the Buddha advises that, so that you can practice the 5 precepts and more diligently, so that you don't hurt other living beings. Notice the 5 precepts are talking about hurting other people. You want to avoid that. Now, quickly moving on, Sagakata, talk about heavens. Now, 2 pictures here. The big one from a Thai temple, interesting. Right at the center in the building is an artistic rendition of Saka, S-A-K-K-A. Saka is a name given to the king of the heavens, one of the heavens actually, not all the heavens, one of the heavens, a very powerful being, and all the other living beings around, they are also devas that dwell in that realm of existence, a very powerful person. The top right, you have 2 beings paying respect to the Buddha. One of them has got 4 faces. This is the Thai artistic rendition. When you see 4 faces in artistic rendition, it means they are from the Brahma worlds. You know 4-face Brahma? 4-face Brahma is not one person, you know. All Brahmas, artistic rendition, all of them have 4 faces. I mean, artistic, what they look like, I do not know. Maybe we have been Brahmas before, but we don't know. I did take a picture, so I don't remember what I looked like last time. So, 4 faces. The one next to this 4 face is an ordinary deva, another kind of deva. Okay? So, definitions. Saga means heaven, the next world, properly conceived as a place of happiness and long life. This is characteristic. As you go higher and higher the plane of existence, lifespan become longer, less and less suffering, more happiness. And usually this is to do with Devaloka. So what is Devaloka? Devaloka is made up of 2 words, made up of Deva and Loka. Loka means a realm or plane of existence. Devaloka refers to the particular sphere of any Devas. The seat of the Devas, heaven. There exist 26 such spheres or heavens. A seat in the Devaloka is in Samsara, attained by extraordinary merit. Now, a few things to uncap here. When people ask you, do you want to go to heaven? The Buddhist reply should be, which one? Here, this definition of Devaloka, that means plane of existence higher than the human realm, these are Devas. 26, you know. So, spoiled for choice. Okay? And we probably have been there, but now we are here. Seat in the Devaloka is in Samsara. Even Devas is not born there, live forever. No, they are in Samsara. Samsara means cycle of birth and death. So Devas get born there, live a life, maybe very long life, enjoyable life, but they also die. Okay? So it's not permanent. How to get there? Attained by extraordinary merit. A lot of wholesome things, by dana, by sila, and all those things, practice. You make a lot of wholesome energies that push yourself there. And of course, definitions for Deva, a god. Now, this is English. The word God, notice, is not capital G, it's small g. Now, in translating any word, even Chinese to English, Malay to English, in this case, Pali, the language spoken by the Buddha, into English, you encounter problems. There's no such thing as one Pali word equals one English word. No such thing. And to translate Deva as God, whether capital or small, conjures up a lot of wrong understanding, misunderstanding. Why? The word God in the English language is influenced by Christian ideology. So their idea of God is something. Here, we are not talking about God. We are trying to find a word nearest to English. And therefore, in most of my Dhamma sharings, I don't like to use the word God. I prefer to use the original word Deva, and I try to explain the word Deva. So the Pali word is called Deva because there's certain characteristics. So a divine being, they are also known as shining ones. Why are they called shining ones? Well, this particular sutta from the Mangala Sutta, also the Parabhava Sutta and many others, the starting portion, many of you have recited the Mangala Sutta. So, Evam me sutang, so I have heard. At one time, the Buddha was staying near Savatthi in Jeta Grove, the Jetavada monastery, the land bought by Anapubbasikkha, the monastery built by the millionaire Anapubbasikkha, for the Buddha to spend some time there. So, Jeta's Grove, Anapubbasikkha's monastery. Then, late at night, a glorious deity lighting up the entire Jeta's Grove. Deity, one only, a glorious deity lighting up the entire Jeta's Grove, went up to the Buddha, bowed and stood to one side. Standing to one side, that deity addressed the Buddha in verse, and he started talking. This is the rest of the Mangala Sutta. So even in Mangala Sutta, they already show you one of the characteristics of a Deva is when they come, they don't like to come in the daytime. We are very smelly. Even though we just came out of the bathroom with all the shampoo and all the nice odors, but by their standards, you're still very dirty. So they come at night. And the human beings all went to sleep, then they start talking to the Buddha. The Buddha doesn't sleep many hours. So he came to see the Buddha and ask questions. Okay, that's how the Mangala Sutta starts. And the starting of the Sutta always tell you, oh, this deity came from the heavens. They had a lot of argument up there. Cannot come to a conclusion. They send a delegation, in this case, one representative, come down to the Buddha and ask him, Buddha, we are having argument about blessing. What is on up there? So I ask you, what is blessing? Then the Buddha gave the Mangala Sutta. Okay? So we benefit from knowing a Deva that came down lights up the entire Jeta's Grove. Grove is like a big park, like lake gardens, wow, one deity come, the whole thing lighted up, No need DBK to switch on the lights. So, this particular sutta is very relevant today. Why? Today is new moon, isn't it? Uposatha. Uposatha means new moon and full moon. What do you do? This sutta, Uposatha Sutta from the Anguttara Nikaya Book of 3, though I didn't plan to use this sutta for today, but it has implications. It was a conversation between the Buddha and another millionaires, a female millionaire in Savatthi also, Visakha. And the Buddha was talking to this lady, this rich lady. And notice, ... And what is the Uposatha of the noble ones? There are different religions in India at that time. Different religions practice the new moon and full moon observance differently. So the Uposatha of the noble ones is to do with how Buddhists, the followers of the Buddha, practice. Now, a corrupt mind is cleansed or cleaned by applying effort. So one of the purpose of Uposatha, other than observing the 8 precepts, is to clean your mind. And how is a corrupt mind cleaned by applying effort? It's when a noble disciple recollects the realized one. Now, the Pali word is, what it called? Arya Savako Tathagatang Anusati. Anusati means is to do reflection. We recited during the puja the qualities, the 9 qualities of the Buddha. By going through and knowing each one of the 9 qualities, what is the impact? What does it mean by that? Each of the very words. That is called recollects the realized one. Okay, that means go through the Itipiso, Bhagava, Arahant, Samma, Sambuddha. All the 9 qualities reflect on the qualities of the Buddha. And after that, it's when the noble disciple recollects the teaching. Okay, Arya Savako Dhammang Anusati, which means reflecting on the qualities of the Dhamma, the 6 qualities of the Dhamma, which we went through just now in the puja. It's when the noble disciple recollects the Sangha. Arya Savako Sangang Anusati, means reflecting on the 9 qualities of the enlightened disciples. It's when the noble disciple recollects their own ethical conduct, which is unbroken, impeccable, spotless, unmettered, liberating, praised by sensible people, not mistaken, and leading to concentration or immersion. So, you reflect themselves on your own. We are not bad people. We have, of course, done bad things. We have done some good things. Here is recollect your own ethical conduct. All the good things, sila that you have cultivated within yourself, up to that point, reflect and rejoice over it. And it's when a noble disciple recollects the deities, remember the deities. Okay? Devata Anusati, reflect on the deities. So what do you mean by reflecting on the deities? The bottom right picture, you should know, I got hold of the Chinese wording for this. Pali is called Deva Chatu Maharajika. Chatu means 4, Maharajika, Maha means great, Raja means the 4 great kings. But they are devas. So, it's when the noble disciple recollects the deities. They are the gods. Again, this is English translation. They try to move away. Actually, they are the devas of the 4 great kings, as given by the picture on the bottom right. The gods of the 33, Tavatimsa heaven. The gods of Yama. The joyful gods, those who are familiar, Tusita heaven. The gods who love to imagine. We seldom talk about that. The gods who control what is imagined by others. And then the gods of Brahma's host, those are the 4 faiths, those even higher beings. And gods even higher than these. So this is a great summary of this. So what do you mean by all this? So, since we are talking about the plane of existence, the Buddha discovered underneath the Bodhi tree that there are 31 planes or realms of existence. We are inside this sensual realm, Kama Loka. This is different from the word K-A-M-M-A. This is 1M, K-A-M-A, sensual. And it comprises the one we don't want to go to, Apaya, realms of misery. Number 1 is hell. Then you have animal world, hungry ghosts, we are familiar, Chinese hungry ghost festival coming up. Demons, asuras. Now, some people from other religions or philosophies, they will frighten you. You will go to hell. The standard Buddhist question is, which one? Okay. I purposely study all these. So, got this. So I chuchok them. Because they don't know about Buddhism, so I go and chuchok them. They don't know. You don't know, man? I go and read. Then, number 5 from the bottom, human realm. You think you're very high, You only number 5. There are 31, you know. So, number 6 is the 4 great kings, Chatu Maharajika, which we go to Galaxy in various temples we see. Then higher than that, Tavatimsa, those who are into Abhidhamma. You know the Buddha went over to Tavatimsa to teach Abhidhamma. Then you have the Yama Devas. Then you have the Tusita heaven, which Queen Mahamaya, after she gave birth, 7 days later she passed away. She was reborn in Tusita heavens. And number 10 and number 11. Okay? Most of the time, humans, they do a lot of wholesome things. And you don't meditate. You pass away, you will be born maybe higher than human. 6 to number 11. Not qualified to go higher than that because you don't meditate. Those who meditate, you got opportunities for Rupa Loka. Why? Number 12 to 14, plane existence, the Brahmas, Maha-Brahmas. Why? To reach there, you must have at least attained the first jhana. This is a unit of deep concentration. And the deeper your meditation, you go higher and higher. Except up to 23 to 27. This is the pure abodes. Only those who have attained the third stage of enlightenment, Anagami, are reborn there. And they stay there and they practice until they become fully enlightened arahats. Number 28 to 31, formless realms, arupa loka, no, don't have a physical body. Okay? But whatever it is, all 31 here are impermanent. They are inside samsara. They are born, live a life, they die. So what do we do with recollect the deities? When those deities passed away from here, they were reborn there because of they practice what? Saddha. Here, the English translation for Saddha is faith. I don't like the word faith because faith I equate with blind faith. Okay, there are many kinds of faith. So, in the Buddhist sense, Saddha is actually not faith. It is closer to confidence. Confidence means, for me to have confidence in you, you have to prove to me that I can place my confidence in you. So confidence is preceded by actions to prove, to show that you are trustworthy. And what you say is true, it makes sense, this kind of thing. Faith, no need, oh, I believe. Wow, like that, I never seen you before. You talk, then I believe. You go back. Wow, it can be a scam, now a lot of scam, people can lost a lot of money. That's called, because you believe, you have faith, Faith not founded in understanding or reason. Here, the Pali word saddha means confidence after verification. Okay? Then you have ethics or sila. Then you have learning, suttena or sutta, S-U-T-A, means to understand what the Buddha's teaching is about. Then you develop generosity, chaga. Now, dana is part of chaga. Okay, to give is an aspect of generosity. Generosity also covers a wider area. Then you develop wisdom, panya. And when you reflect upon it, and you have been practicing diligently, you might come to a conclusion. I too have the same kind of saddha, sila, sutta, chaga, and panya. I too have that. Like those people who are born as in the heavens. So you are going there. You're laying the groundwork for you to be born in the heavens. So that is the purpose of this reflection. You want to emulate them, do more of what they do so that you qualify to be going there. As they recollect the faith, ethics, learning, generosity, and wisdom of both themselves and those deities, when you reflect upon it, their mind, the practitioner, the mind becomes clear. Joy arises. The mental corruptions are given up. And this is called a disciple who observes the Uposatha of the deities, living together with the deities, which behave like them. And because they think of the deities, their mind becomes clear, joy arises, mental corruptions are given up. And that's how a corrupt mind is cleaned by applying effort. And this is what you need to do during Uposatha. Not just wear white and sit one corner, okay? A lot of things to do, Got homework. Now, moving on. This one is interesting. Moving on to the Magga Kata. Okay, talk about the path. And the Buddha has, in the suttas, have broken up this aspect. Talking about the perils, vanity, and defiling nature of sensual pleasures. Here, all the pictures show you a selection of the different kinds of sensual pleasures we have. Top left, you have, of course, the pleasure of makan, okay, of this taste or that taste and whatever. The bottom, you have the pleasure of maybe a companionship, and sometimes a bit complicated, like you see in this picture, supposed to be the boyfriend, girlfriend, but yet the boyfriend got another girlfriend. So roots of possible trouble to come in the future because of, driven by I want, sense pleasure. Some people need to have thrill. So we have 4 pictures here. We have what they call the pleasure of thrills. Dhammapada verse 67. It's not good to do a deed or some action that plagues you later on, for which you weep and wail, as its effect stays with you. Very commonsensical. Why? You don't want to do something that cause you problem later, cause you suffering later. But a lot of us are ignorant. We don't know. If you do this, will it cause something later? But at least we start off with that. In life, we are born, if we are lucky to be born, some people don't get a chance to be born because their mothers had miscarriages, they die before birth. To be born is fortunate. After being born, you get a chance to grow up like a toddler, like a young child, grow to be to be youth. If you reach youth, very fortunate. Some people die before that, okay, from disease, from accidents, and so on. And you get a chance to grow old. And if you are with a significant other, grow old, and later on, you also pass away. Those who are able to live through all these frames, they are considered very fortunate. Many people we know, don't get a chance to reach the right-hand side. So it is good to do a deed that doesn't plague you later on, that gladdens and cheers as its effect stays with you. There are aspects about doing good, especially in giving. When you actually do dana, giving, you reflect before, during, and after you are doing giving. You get a chance to feel the happiness, okay, the gladdening in your heart now, here and now. Not next time, not after you die. Now, just before, even giving also you feel happy already. While giving, you feel happy. After you're giving, and after giving can be 20, 30 years after you're given. You think about something good you did. You feel happy that you have done something good. So that gladdening stays with you. Now, many people who break the precepts, they have this kind of attitude. The fool, the Buddha calls these people fools. The fool imagines that evil is sweet. They don't know it's evil, They say, as long as it's to my advantage, this business deal I will do, or this action I will do. The fool imagines that evil is sweet, so long as it has not yet ripened. They forgot that when they do certain action, there's some kind of invisible energy generated, so long as it has not yet ripened. But as soon as that evil ripens, they fall into suffering. So later they get the repercussions of those not so good actions. Dhammapada verse 69. For a wicked deed that has been done does not spoil quickly like milk. Smoldering, it follows the fool, like a fire smothered over with ash. So under the ash got something red still. Now the heat is still there. So certain actions you do, that not only covers the unskillful actions, but also skillful actions also has smoldering. So sometimes people are wondering why this person's so good in this life, but yet all the bad luck happens to him. Why? All these unwholesome things he did in the previous past, not necessarily in this life, previous smoldering, now in this life it take fruit. So now he happens to be a nice guy. In the previous life, he was a real stinko, very bad person. But this time, he is a nice person. But yet, all the bad things happen to him. Why? This is this one. The smoldering aspect of these calming energies that the person has done previously. And this points to the aspect of being born again and again, samsara. The Buddha discovered that this is not our only life. We are very old in this samsara, beyond the life of this universe. We are born through multiple universes. You don't do anything about it, you continue in this wandering of samsara. And what makes this kind of energy? Here, in this particular sutta, from the Anguttara Nikaya book of 6, the Buddha says, it is intention that I call karma or deeds. Karma just means action or deeds. For after making a choice, one acts by way of body, speech, or mind. So intention is very important for making karma. Now this sutta is quite interesting. It covers quite a lot of ground. I only provide excerpts. There are deeds or karma that lead to rebirth. Where? In hell, in animal realm, in the ghost realm, in the human world, and in the world of the devas. So actions, different kinds of actions lead to rebirth. And what is the result of karma or actions? The result of karma is threefold. In this life, which means you make this kind of energy, when does this coming energy take effect? There's no hard and fast rule that it must be in this life. No. So Buddha says there are three kinds. In this very life, so actions you did yesterday, today it takes effect. It can happen that way. Can happen. Not necessarily must happen. So it can take effect. The result can come in this very life. On rebirth, in the next life. So it can take effect in the next immediate life after you pass away here. Or at some other time. Which means, for the rest of us, it's called no expiry date. That's very frightening. Why? You don't know what hits you, Now you're a very wholesome person. Suddenly all the bad luck comes. Why? Don't know what I did in the previous time. It could be very, very far. But we always think about the negative. The good things also can be like that, You did a lot of wholesome things. In this life, wow, all the good things come and support you. Okay, I know people, they're thinking of applying for scholarship to study. The next thing you know, offers come in, The rest of us must apply, go for interview, and most of the time, reject. If you're lucky to get one, accepted or grab already. This fella no need to apply. The scholarship look for you. What the person did previously, I do not know but the scholarship look for him. There's no problem. Not one scholarship, a few scholarships or more. So, what is the source of suffering? It is because of craving. Now, you're going into the Four Noble Truths already. Craving is the source of suffering. Not desire, craving. And the Pali word is called tanha. Desire can be wholesome desire, can be not so good, but craving is definitely unwholesome. Okay? And what is the diversity of suffering? Well, there is suffering that is severe, very intense. Very mild suffering. Slow to fade suffering, that one not so good. Quick to fade, it just comes and goes. So, four different kinds of suffering. And what is the result of suffering? It's when someone who is overcome and overwhelmed by suffering sorrows and wails and laments, a lot of mental troubles, beating their breasts and falling into confusion. Or else, overcome by that suffering, they begin an external search, wandering. They're looking, how to solve this problem, but not knowing that they cause their own problem. Who knows one or two phrases to stop this suffering? They're thinking maybe some prayer will wipe out all this bad luck that I have in my life. This is common. 2,600 years ago, people were thinking like that. Today, 21st century, we are still thinking like that. Okay, we're always looking for this fa shi or this temple or this spiritual or some procedure for charm or whatever to wipe out all the bad luck. Got such thing, meh? The result of suffering is either confusion or a search, I say. This is the result of suffering, the Buddha declared. And here, it is talking about the perils, vanity and defiling nature of sensuous pleasure. Why? When we enjoy all these things, there's a lot of greed and delusion involved. We make a lot of these coming energies which come back and give us this kind of suffering. And then, in Magga the Buddha talks about the benefits of renunciation, nekkhamma. Renunciation, we're not talking about becoming a monk or nun, I mean, of course, that is one aspect. But as lay people, we can also practice renunciation. Ajahn has put it very nicely. If you let go a little, you will have a little peace. If you let go a lot, you will have a lot of peace. If you let go completely, you will have complete peace. So let go completely means to become enlightened. Okay? That is, this letting go aspect is an aspect of renunciation. So what is nekkhamma? Here I didn't quote from the Buddha, but I took an article from Ajahn Munindo. From the article, what is nekkhamma? Published is in the news magazine called Lion's Roar. Some of you may be familiar. Nekkhamma literally means freedom from sensual lust. But frequently, they just put one word, renunciation. So sometimes mistakenly thought that gestures of renunciation are only made by those who have gone forth. That means have renounced and become monks and nuns. Now, sila or virtue is supported by nekkhamma or renunciation. Samadhi, concentration, is deepened by renunciation. And wisdom is nourished by it. So, cultivation of nekkhamma supports the process, right? And Buddhists do not approach the practice of renunciation as something we should do. Different, the attitude is very different. Renunciation is not about making our lives miserable. Quite the opposite. It is about greater and more sustainable happiness. So it's very, very gradual. And important thing is, for lay people, the spirit of renunciation is contained in the 8 precepts. So those on Upu Saturdays, new moon and full moon, they want to intensify the practice. They move up from the 5 precepts to the 8 precepts. So, which are observed during these periods of intensive meditation practice and on lunar observance days like today. Now, here he talks a lot about the 5 precepts, what's the difference between 8 precepts and so on. But I jump straight to Dhammapada verse 290. It is wisdom that enables letting go of a lesser happiness in pursuit of happiness which is greater. So renunciation allows you to gain a higher happiness as opposed to the normal happiness which we are very familiar with. Okay? And finally, when the Buddha knew that the listener's mind was ready, pliable, rid of hindrances, elated, confident, he explained the special teaching of the Buddhas. Dukkhang, samudayang, nirodhang, magang. In other words, suffering is origin, its cessation, the path. Or for the rest of us, it's called the Four Noble Truths. Back to the same sutta. The Buddha clearly says, suffering should be known. Most of us, when we hear the word suffering, we must keep it away from us. Here, Buddhism doesn't do that. Buddhism wants you to get to know suffering, to understand what is it all about, instead of running away from it. So, now, should be known. Its source, diversity, its result, its ending or cessation, and the practice that leads to its ending should be known. Now, although the word here is suffering, the translation, the Pali word is actually dukkha. Okay? Now, dukkha has a wide range of meanings, not just the word suffering. So, a lot of people accuse Buddhism so pessimistic, always talk about suffering. How did the Buddha define dukkha? Not just in the first lecture given by the Buddha, the Dhamma-cakkappavattana Sutta, even in this sutta, the Buddha defines dukkha. Rebirth is dukkha, old age is dukkha, illness is dukkha, death is dukkha, sorrow, lamentation, pain, sadness, and distress are dukkha. Not getting what you wish for is dukkha. So one is the physical side, one is the samsaric side, one is the mental side. In brief, the 5 grasping aggregates are dukkha. What are the 5 grasping aggregates? We, okay, our psycho-physical being are the 5 aggregates. And what is the source of craving, of suffering? Just now I went through a similar slide. Craving is the one, tanha. And what is the result of that? We already went through. And the result of suffering is either confusion or a search. Looking for one phrase or that blessing to eradicate this. And the cessation of dukkha, dukkha nirodho. When craving ceases, suffering ceases. Okay, very clear cut. And the practice that leads to the ending or cessation of suffering is simply the Noble Eightfold Path. Ariyo Atangiko Mago. Noble, the Pali word is Ariyo or Ariya. Atangiko means eightfold. Mago means the path. Notice the Buddha used the word Noble Eightfold Path. Firstly, it is a path. Path is what? Jalan Raya. Path is not to be looked at, wow, beautiful Japanese path. No. Path is for you to use. You must walk. Not other people walk for you. You have to do the walking for you to transport yourself from here to there. So there's a path. So path not only shows you what to do, where to go, that you must do it yourself. Not tengok and talk about it and all that. When you walk the path on the way, reaching towards the end, you ennoble yourself. You become noble. Ennoble. You become an Arya. You get closer to become an Arya, and finally as an Arya. And how many factors? There are 8. Notice the Buddha didn't use the word Noble Eight Path. He said eightfold. Why? First, there are 8. Eightfold means they interact with each other. They mutually support each other so that the power of these 8 come together to enable you to become more noble. You don't, oh, look at this. Yeah, this one difficult. This one difficult. Today I choose mindfulness. Wrong. That is not what the Buddha taught. And for your information, the Buddha didn't teach mindfulness. The Buddha didn't teach sati. The Buddha taught samasati, right mindfulness. There's a big difference. Nowadays, you can, in Kuala Lumpur, especially in the West, it's a billion-dollar industry to teach mindfulness. They teach you mindfulness course, mindfulness. Then they say the Buddha discovered mindfulness. Wrong. The Buddha didn't teach mindfulness. The Buddha taught right mindfulness. That's the difference. The mindfulness which commercially they teach you, it can help you to some extent, but it can, now there's been more and more reports of trouble of those practicing mindfulness. Not right mindfulness, they're practicing mindfulness. Okay? Right mindfulness is part of what they call a program, a course, which is part of the Noble Eightfold Path. All the other factors support you to take care of you and so on, with understanding, and all those moral support, so that you don't get into trouble and you can make progress. Whereas mindfulness is one by itself, no support, only your teacher. Even your teacher do not know whether the person know how good is the mindfulness or whether the person practice right mindfulness. So when mindfulness courses, commercial ones, we call that circular mindfulness, not rooted in Buddhism. They take away all the Buddhist principles, Noble Eightfold Path, they throw away. They just want to capitalize, make money from the word mindfulness. Now it's causing some of those meditators have psychological effects, some problems. So they try to blame Buddhism. Why? In their commercial brochure, they say, oh, mindfulness was discovered by the Buddha. That is technically wrong. The Buddha didn't teach mindfulness. The Buddha taught right mindfulness as part of a course, a program called the Noble Eightfold Path. You need all that together. Then only you're taken care of. You won't get into trouble. Whereas mindfulness by itself, you are on your own. Okay? And no refund from your commercial whatever when you get into mental troubles. So beware, mindfulness and right mindfulness are 2 different things. Circular mindfulness, circular, which is the commercial, and right mindfulness as taught by the Buddha. Now, when the noble disciple understands suffering in this way, they understand this penetrative spiritual life is the cessation of suffering. Some people ask, what is the purpose of Buddhism? The ultimate purpose is this. The penetrative spiritual life is the ending of dukkha. That is the ultimate aim of Buddhism. Along the way, you gain a lot of happiness and foundation and steadiness within your life, people around you, and in the community around you. The Buddha gave a lot of lectures on these aspects. Okay, how to take care of the family, how to take care of yourself, how to take care of the as government also, and so on. So the ultimate aim of Buddhism, what is the spiritual life in Buddhism? The ending of dukkha. That is the thing. If you want, I want to please God. Sorry, Buddhism doesn't teach you to do that. You go somewhere else, if that is your aim. So if your aim is to end dukkha, end suffering, and unsatisfactoriness, the Buddha teaches you that. So the Buddha emphasizes, suffering should be known, and its source, diversity, result, cessation, and the practice that leads to cessation should be known. Now, we are going to the last portion. There are many lay people the Buddha encountered, in which the Buddha used this technique called Anupubbasikkha, step-by-step talk. And in this case, it's to do with a lay person called Upali. Upali was a millionaire, another rich man, but staying near Rajagaha, in the town called Nalanda. Now, this is not Nalanda University. Nalanda University only came many centuries or years after the Buddha passed away. So at that time, it was this Kampung Nalanda near the capital city of Rajagaha. He was a millionaire, and townspeople were basically working in this business, that business, and all that. And he was not a Buddhist. He was a great supporter of another religious teacher called Niganta Nataputta, or also known as Mahavira, the great hero. Proton Vira, Vira means hero. Great hero, the title given to him. And what is he famous for? He's the founder of a religion called Jainism. There were 6 great teachers during the Buddha's time. Of all the religions that survive up to today, 21st century, only 2 religions survive: Buddhism and Jainism. So he is the founder. Now the sutta starts with, at one time the Buddha was staying near Nalanda, at this particular grove. And then at that time, the Jain ascetic, Natika clan and so on, came to have a chat with the Buddha. The sutta, the beginning portion, talked to the Buddha, encountered this ascetic, and this ascetic decided to have a, what they call, doctrinal chat or philosophical chat with the Buddha. So they talk. So a lot of sutta talks about that. Then later, after they finished talking, this ascetic went back to see his teacher, Niganta Nataputta. And at the same time, Upali was there. Upali was not a monk, was only a lay person, a supporter of the Jain group. And what happened? This is interesting. It is impossible, tapasi. It cannot happen that Upali could become Gautama's disciple. Why? Because Niganta Nataputta had great confidence in this lay disciple called Upali to go and talk to the Buddha and convert the Buddha to become a Jain follower. Okay? So he says, impossible. It cannot happen. This is the teacher saying. Cannot happen that Upali could become Gautama's disciple. But it is possible that Gautama could become Upali's disciple. So this Niganta Nataputta had great confidence in this lay disciple. Go, householder, refute the ascetic Gautama's doctrine on this point, and so on. So yes, sir. So Upali went, and he got up from his seat. Now notice, get up from his seat, bow, and respectfully circle him, keeping him on his right. Now, when you go to, this is Indian custom, Buddhists also do that. Keeping him on his right. When there is a Buddha Rupa, suppose, or in the center of a hall or the outside, when you pay respect, when you do circumambulation, that means go round, you go round clockwise. You don't go around anti-clockwise. Why? At least Indian custom, show your right shoulder. You walk round the Buddha statue. So you can walk around this way. So don't do that. Why? Because you left hand, in Malay culture, you use left hand to do what? You know lah. That one is very disrespectful. So that's why this is recorded. So even in Indian culture, not just Buddhist, but Jain also, they do that lah. Indian culture, not religious. So he went to see the Buddha, and they had some doctrinal talk, and he asked the Buddha some questions. The Buddha gave one answer, and then Upali asked, give me some more examples. So the Buddha gave multiple examples. And at the end of it, Upali was convinced by the Buddha, and he decided to take refuge in the Buddha, Dhamma, and Sangha. That means he converted from a Jain to become the Buddha's disciple. Then the Buddha said, you are a well-known person, a renowned person. You cannot simply, our first time meeting, you just convert to become my disciple. You must do proper investigation. So the Buddha was not hard up for disciples, The Buddha, in a way, warned him, why you so easily want to become my disciple? Please check further. Wow, like the Upali lucky happy, So, the more I want. In my other teacher and other teachers, they will parade around the town and say, this well-known person has converted to our religion. But you are telling me, hey, please investigate further. Don't simply change your label, just like that. That's important. Then later on, then the Buddha taught the householder Upali, step by step, Anupubbasikkha. Talk on giving, talk ethical conduct, and heaven. He explained the drawbacks of sensual pleasures, so sordid and corrupt, and the benefit of renunciation. And when he knew, the Buddha was reading Upali's mind, we knew that Upali's mind was ready, pliable, and rid of hindrances, elated and confident, he explained the special teaching of the Buddhas. Dukkhaṃ, Samudayam, Nirodhaṃ, Maggaṃ. You see, the Four Noble Truths. So again here, the Buddha used that. And interestingly, just as a clean cloth rid of stains would properly absorb dye, in that very seed, the stainless, immaculate vision of the Dhamma arose in Upali. Everything that has a beginning has an end. This famous Yang Kinci Samudayang Dhammang Sabangtang Nirodhan Dhammang Ti. Then Upali saw, attained, understood, and fathomed the Dhamma. He went beyond doubt, got rid of indecision, and became self-assured and independent of others regarding the teacher's instructions. In other words, Upali attained Sotapatti. Became a Sotapanna, attained the first stage of enlightenment. So from after this, the Sota continues, of course, it's beyond the scope, but generally, he had become a Buddhist, a disciple of the Buddha, and the news of him becoming a disciple of the Buddha reached his former teacher, Nikantanantaputta. He said, how can? I'm so confident in my good student. And Nikantanantaputta and his Jain monks and all that all came, to his mansion. But his mansion is so big, he's got a gatekeeper, His house, a lot of padang, and got fencing, and got one jaga gate, And Upali already informed the gatekeeper, do not let any of the Jains come inside. They asked them, what do you want? Oh, you want food? You wait here. We will prepare and bring food. They still do dana. But he, at the gate, pass to you and then you go and makan. This way, So later on, the Nikantanantaputta wanted to have a chit-chat with him. And he actually came out and have a conversation. So, you want to know more? Read Upali Sutta, Majjhima Nikaya Sutta number 56. Very interesting sutta. So that's all for this morning. Saddhammo cirang titatu. May the good doctrine long endure. Sabbe satta sukhi hontu. May all beings be happy.